Today, I want to talk about a passage I found in the book, The Road Less Traveled, and this is about communism and capitalism. The topic that he was referring to with this was talking about love, and this book, I highly recommend it. It's got a lot of really good stuff in here, but the way he breaks down the definitions of communism and capitalism, pure communism and pure capitalism, I think is relevant to what's going on in the world today and kind of these debates between the two. So I wanted to read what he wrote and then expand on it and talk about it for a little bit. But pure communism is the purpose and function of the individual is to serve the relationship, the group, the collective, the society. Only the destiny of the state is considered. The destiny of the individual is believed to be of no consequence. Pure capitalism, on the other hand, espouses the destiny of the individual even when it is at the expense of the relationship, the group, the collective, the society. Widows and orphans may starve, but this should not prevent the individual entrepreneur from enjoying all the fruits of his or her individual initiative. It should be obvious to any discerning mind, that neither of these pure solutions to the problem of separateness within relationships, again, he's talking about love and relationships and things, but within relationships will be successful. So, none of these solutions are a good solution. And we're going to talk about that in regard to the country. The individual's health depends upon the health of the society. The health of the society depends upon the health of its individuals. And I think that point right there, talking about communism and capitalism and the collective and the individual, it's a symbiotic relationship. If the individuals are healthy, they're going to make a better society. If the society's healthy, it's going to make a better individual. So which one should you do? Should you do pure capitalism and, like it says, stomp on anyone's neck to get whatever you want because you have entrepreneurial initiative? Should it be communism, pure communism, where it doesn't matter what the individual may want, it's all about the collective? Which extreme should it be? And I say it shouldn't be the extreme. And today, for whatever reason, we're being pushed to the extremes. And this is why there's so much Nazi rhetoric and people talking about this stuff and Stalin rhetoric and he's a fascist. And it's like, we throw these terms around. Most people don't even know what they mean, but they're actually true because people really do want to have a collective and not care about the individual. You see that with many different things going on. It's very interesting, right? We just do blanket statements. All women, believe all women, Black Lives Matter, all lives matter. The open borders. It doesn't matter what people are coming over for. We should let people in. It's like we're blurring the lines with the collective of things. And then same thing on the other side with capitalism. It's like, no, it should be up to the individual. Billionaires do great things because they create jobs and they do. It's like, look. Both sides are correct at some point. To the extreme ends on either end, neither one of those works out. We're finding out in real time how negative pure capitalism can be. When you put entrepreneurship and when you put money from the individual above all else, this is when you have people, individuals being able to dictate what the government says and does. And this is, what happens when people in corporate sectors go to lawmakers and they say, hey, I want this loophole in this law because I want you to create a loophole in this law because this is screwing us over. Oh, well, we can't do that. Well, here's $1 million. Okay, we'll do that right away, sir. It's like money talks. And when you have too much power concentrated into certain hands and they control the TV networks and they control the pharmaceutical industries and it's like they're going to be able to control whatever they want. And if the government is in the pocket, then it's just this big circle jerk as I talk about. Whereas if the government then says, hey, we're going to take all power, we're going to take the power away from the people, and we're going to take all of the power, and everything is going to be for the collective. Very quickly, we've seen this in the past, the power within, we completely lose our individuality, and we lose the ambition to do things because it's like, well, why work? That was one of the jokes about, in communist, the Soviet Union. It's like, they pretend to pay us, we pretend to work, or we pretend to work while they pretend to pay us, right? And it's like the ambition, and it's like, well, why try if everything is going to be, given over to the government anyways? And so when the individual is lost for the collective, you lose individual motivation. And then when you have the individual going after everything, you lose morality. And I think that's what we're dealing with now in our society. I think a lot of people are trying to get back to something that's more, in their own way, more moral. Like, hey, look at this group. Look at these people who are marginalized. And I understand that. I understand, like, we should have sympathy for people. We should have sympathy for people who live in terrible countries that don't have any freedom whatsoever. But we should also strive for a balance. We shouldn't just let them in for no reason, right? And not vet them. And it's like we go to these extremes. And the warning of this book is pure capitalism, pure communism, complete individual, complete group. Either extreme isn't the answer, because it's always both. It's always both. I'll repeat it again because I think it's so simple, but so perfect. The individual's health depends upon the health of the society. The health of the society depends upon the health of its individuals. And I think if you're frustrated with the way that the world is going, and you're not part of a society, you're alone, you're not part of a community really, you haven't found, or you're in a community that you don't jive with, or they don't accept you, being an individual and making yourself as good of a person that you can be, that is going to help the society. It's just like racism, right? What ends up screwing up racism? Hey, we're part of this collective. White people are better than black people. And then one individual from the black community does good, and then someone who's white notices it and goes, well, all of them are bad except for that one. And then you meet another one. All of them are bad except for those two. All of them are bad except for, and it starts to break down your barrier, and that wave of all becomes broken, because there isn't an all. There are individuals that are bad apples, but all is a blanket statement, and that's not correct. So going to these extremes hurts us. And I think in our society, if we think that we're just going to take up communism and give the government control, or completely focus on the collective, that's not going to solve all our problems. If we completely go pure capitalism and say, hey, just let the markets go free, and then you're going to end up with what we have, where one corporation or one entity behind a corporation owns everything and is just passing money back and forth, and they're creating laws for themselves, and the people are getting lost in the scuffle, and they don't know any wiser because they can't tell the difference. So I think that the simplicity of this is we have to have a constant communication between what the individual wants and what the society wants. That's really, at the end of the day, hey, I'm this individual, corporate billionaire, and I want all the money in the world, and I want to control. Yeah, well, what does the society want? I know what you want, but what does the society want? We need to have a conversation, okay? What do the individuals who are maybe marginalized, what do they want? Okay. Now, are you a marginalized individual because you say you are, or is it because you're not fitting in with the society at large? And that is a detriment to the whole. We can't come along with one or two just individual people that are holding back the society. I know it sounds like contradict, but it's like, it's got to be a constant thing. It's like, well, are you willing to sacrifice in certain situations for the collective? And the collective needs to sacrifice at times for the individual. We have to have a conversation. If 200 million people are going to sacrifice their quality of life for one person, maybe that doesn't make sense, right? But if one person it's like having one person in control of 200 million. It's the same thing. We can't have these extremes. We have to have a constant ebb and flow of communication between the two. And I think at our point now in society, I look at the corporate landscape and I look at how much power and influence they have. We have to have some sort of form of regulation that goes along with that. I don't want to put power into the government, but we need checks and balances. Like I was talking about yesterday with USAID. It's like, hey, you have someone like Elon Musk who's now involved in the government, who's now, showing this corruption that was going on. But if we don't keep checks and balances on him, what ends up happening? He just takes the place of that, and maybe has a better way of hiding the information that these people thought they were getting away with, which they did get away with. All that stuff is gone. But that problem of transparency, of understanding what's actually happening, if we don't keep them accountable, it might happen again. It might happen with Elon. I don't know. It seems like he's doing the right thing, exposing this corruption, but maybe he's just doing like a magic trick. Hey, look over here while he's doing something behind the scenes. I don't know. Do you know? I don't know anyone that can say to me 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt. And this is what I mean by the pure capitalism side of things, where behind closed doors, people are meeting in rooms and making deals, and it's coming out and saying, yeah, we created this bill. You didn't create that bill. You created that because someone told you to create that. And those things are happening all the time because, like I said, the pure capitalism, the individual, they want that power, and they're willing to, again, sacrifice the group for their individual needs. The other extreme, sacrificing the individual for the complete group, is not what we want either. We want to have a balance between the two, and we need to have open communication. I think that's what I believe society's ready for. But if we keep trying to dig our feet in the sand and say, no, my way is right and this way is right, it's not one or the other. It's both. And both have valid complaints about things. Both have good, like I said, capitalism. People who are billionaires, they do create tons of jobs. If we give them all the power, maybe they don't do things benevolently. If we don't create systems like you would have with the government, then they're not going to have any checks and balances. If you give all the power to the government and you take it away from people that are entrepreneurial and create products and create businesses, you're going to stagnate that. So again, it's a constant ebb and flow between the two. That's my main point. I'm going to repeat this one more time because I think it's so simple and I think it sums everything up and is way better than me chatting too much more. The individual's health depends upon the health of the society. The health of the society depends upon the health of its individuals. We need to have a constant conversation between the two. What does the individual want and what does the society need? And how we interact between the two of those is what's going to help us get ourselves to be, again, like people talk about, making America great again, making ourselves strong and strong for the future, not just strong for a day or for an afternoon. Okay, that's all we got for today. And again, I highly recommend this book, The Road Less Traveled. Get it. And